Hi everyone, welcome to my video. Today I'm going to show you how to make hair scrunchies on the circular 22 needle machine. So let's get started. So here is everything that you're going to need. A 22 needle circular machine. I'm using the Lion brand for this particular scrunchie that I'm going to show you on the video today, and this is called the Boardwalk yarn. And you're going to need some safety pins, a crochet hook, needle, scissors, and some elastic. So let's get started. So the first thing we're going to need to do is we're going to need to cast on with some waste yarn. So I'll just bring my machine back to the front. And you're just going to cast on with the normal back and forth motion like this. So with your waste yarn, it's best to have it in a contrasting colour so that when you actually join the tubes together at the end, you'll need to be able to see your stitches to pick up. So don't use the same colour for your waste yarn. Okay, so we're going to need to do roughly around 10 rows just to make sure that it doesn't come undone. Whoops, I'll just feed that back into the, there we go, feed it in. So 10 rows. Okay, so I've now got my 10 rows of waste yarn. So I'm just going to tuck that in there, and then I'm going to grab my main yarn. So we'll just find the end. And I'm just going to go the other side of the black needle and just leave a generous tail there. So that looks like it's knitting quite well now. So now I'm going to do roughly around 110 rows, or we want it 22 inches long. So I'll see you after it reaches either 110 rows or 22 inches long. Okay, so I've got back to my black needle, so what I want to do now is just cut the yarn. In the end, I ended up knitting this on the loosest tension, because when I was knitting it on the tight tension and the medium tension, my machine was just making too many noises, so I didn't like that. So I figured it would be better just to put it in the loose tension for this particular scrunchie. Okay, so I'll just pop that down the center there, and we need to then cast off with our waste yarn. So I'll just go the other side of the black needle. And again, you want to do around about 10 rows, just to make sure that when you're actually closing up the end of your tubes, it's not going to come undone. Okay, so then you just keep cranking around until you get to the end after you've done your 10 rows, and just let your work just pop off. Okay, so you can see that I've now got the work off the machine, and just to give you an idea on how long it is, my tube is about 60 centimeters long. So what we need to do now is we're going to close up the ends of our tube. So you just close it up the way you normally close up the end of your tube. So we're just going to pinch it together like this. Just get my little tail out. And just insert your crochet hook. And just grab your stitches and pull them through. So I've just gone to one side, and now I'm going to grab the stitch on the opposite side and pull that through. Then go to the opposite side again and pull through. So this is just closing up the end of your tube. So you're just going to work your way all the way down to the end here and then tie a knot, but make sure you get all your stitches, because if you don't, it will come undone, and I've done that before and that is not fun. So I'll see you when we get to the end of the tube, and we'll take off our waste yarn. Okay, so you can see that I've now closed up both sides of my tube. So what we're going to do is we're just going to remove the waste yarn. So you just gently pull the waste yarn out, and it's best to keep it so that you're not constantly throwing away waste yarn, and you can just use it for your next project, especially if you're planning on making lots of these scrunchies. So you can see it just comes out quite easily. And that's what your tube looks like once you've removed the waste yarn. Okay, so you can see that I've now removed both ends of my waste yarn. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get a piece of elastic and just test it around your own wrist. So that should fit quite nicely. If anything, it's just a little bit too long, but only by a tiny bit. So I'm not going to worry about it too much, because if I have a bit of overhang when I sew it together, it's not really a problem. So what we need to do now is we're just going to grab a safety pin, push that through the end, and then I'm going to safety pin it to one side of my work. So that's just going to hold that in place inside the tube as we stitch up the side. Now, if you're finding my video useful, please like and subscribe to my channel, because it really helps me out with YouTube. Right, so what we're going to do now is we're just going to join our tube together with the elastic inside. We're just going to fold it in half like this, and we're just going to join the sides together. So it's using the same method that you use to close up the end of your tube. So we just push our crochet hook through one side, through one stitch, sorry, and then grab the other side and pull it through. So then you're going to skip a stitch, then grab a stitch and pull it through, skip a stitch on the other side, grab a stitch, pull it through. Come back to the other side, so skip a stitch, grab the next one, pull it through. If you look at the other side, skip, grab the next one and pull it through. Back, skip, grab the next one and pull it through. So we're just going to join our tube together like that all the way down, but one step I forgot actually is we'll just grab the other safety pin and we'll just pop this on the end of this elastic, so that then when we get to the end it'll be easy just to slip our fingers in and just pull that down. Okay, so I'm just going to work my way down my tube, just joining it together like this, and I'll see you once we've joined that together. Okay, so you can see that I've now joined my tube up along the side all the way. So what we need to do now is grab the other safety pin. So if you just feel along your tube, you'll feel where the safety pin is, and just keep pushing it until it pokes out the end here. If you're having a bit of trouble with this, you can always get a long pair of tweezers and try and pinch it through the tube and pull it through. And here it is. So now we've got both ends of the safety pins. So I'll just pull that up a bit more. Okay, so that doesn't look too twisted. So what we're going to do now is I'm just going to join the two elastics together just with the safety pin, just while I get my needle ready. And we're just going to get our needle and thread and just sew just the ends together. So you just want to overlap them and just sew them. It doesn't need to be anything fancy because it's going to be on the inside of your scrunchie anyway, so you're not even going to see it. Okay, so we've got that sewed together now, so we'll just remove the safety pin. And then, like I said, make sure that your scrunchie, the tube isn't twisted. And we'll just make sure that elastic is nicely tucked inside the scrunchie. That's it. So just keep pulling it around till you're sort of happy with the way it looks. And what we're going to do now is we're just going to sew the two ends together. So you'll need to grab your needle, and I'm just going to use the leftover yarn, the tails from when we were joining up the tubes. And I'll just make sure that other tail is out the way for now. So then you just grab your needle and you can sew the ends together however you like, but I'm going to do mine like a mattress stitch. So once you've sewed it together, what you want to then do is just weave your ends inside the actual scrunchie, just to hide them. And that's what the finished result looks like. So there's your scrunchie.